Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Nintendo and Nintendo Switch ROMs and piracy. And it seems as if Nintendo has teamed up or encouraged law enforcement in a very big way to take down a couple of very prominent Switch ROM websites. And those are nsw2u.com as well as nswdl.com. So right on the main page of both websites, nswdl.com and nsw2u.com, it says the exact same thing. This website has been seized. This domain has been seized by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in accordance with a seizure warrant. And they say here, as part of a law enforcement operation and action by the FBI and the Fiscal Information and Investigation Service, the FIOD. Now, I would say that this is not necessarily surprising. I mean, back towards the end of May, it was reported that NSW2U had been added to the EU piracy watch list along with FitGirl. If you are interested in learning more about this watch list and all of that stuff, Torn Freak has a very interesting article, and like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. But taking a look here, I will say I'm not surprised that this site got taken down, or the sites got taken down. But I am kind of surprised on how long they actually lasted for. I mean, I could be wrong here, but these sites were up for, I think, years before they were taken down. It's also being reported that these were not the only sites that were taken down. There were some others as well. But at the same time here, I would say piracy websites usually have a lifespan. So based on that and a saying I've heard, I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but once something's online, it's always online. And I wouldn't be surprised to see other Switch piracy websites pop up now that one of the mega sites has been taken down. And I would also say I wouldn't be surprised to see other mega sites be taken down in the future at some point in time. And for clarification here as to why I'm calling NSW2U a mega site is because based on the information I've read, this was a mega source of piracy with a list of ROMs for the Switch that could be easily downloaded. And I think the FBI and Nintendo would probably consider taking down NSW2U a huge win. But moving on and switching from Nintendo to PlayStation and talking about PS4 emulation with psOff. And psOff just got a brand new update and introduced an interesting new feature. Now, psOff gets updated quite frequently. In fact, I think they have a new release pretty much every single week. And at the time of filming, 2025 July 10 is the latest update. And in this update, there's been some improvements, some fixes, and a new feature to allow microphone input. And continuing to talk about emulation, next up we're talking about Manic EMU, which also just got a brand new update. Now, for those who may not be aware, Manic EMU is a modular game simulator solution based on the iOS platform. And that's thanks to the Translate service. So at the time of filming, version 1.5.0 is the latest update, and I would say this is a pretty big update. I mean, they've added N64 support, added N64 transfer pack functionality for loading Game Boy and Game Boy Color save data, added multi-disc support for Sega CD, Mega CD, and Saturn games, added multi-disc assistant for generating .m3u files. On top of that, there's fixes and even more. Manic is open source, it's up on GitHub, and it is for iOS. Next up, we're talking about Subnautica 2, and this is a very interesting story with a lot of information surrounding it and a lot of chatter surrounding it. I was debating on whether or not to talk about it yesterday, but there was still information unfolding and I was kind of unsure where everything was. But check out this headline here from Eurogamer. Subnautica 2 delayed by publisher Krafton just months before alleged $250 million payout to developers. So this article goes on to say Krafton has delayed the release of Subnautica 2 right before the game's development team was reportedly set to receive a substantial bonus for reaching previously determined revenue targets. Now, as you probably would have guessed, there was a lot of chatter surrounding that aspect of the news. And I guess Krafton reached out to Eurogamer and said the decision to delay Subnautica 2's early access release into 2026 was under discussion prior to any leadership changes at developer Unknown Worlds. So here's the quote. During playtests for Subnautica 2, we received valuable feedback from our community that reinforced our confidence in the game's direction. At the same time, the feedback highlighted a few areas that could benefit from further refinement before release. As community voices play a central role in how we shape our games, we've made the decision to give the development team more time to implement that feedback and deliver a more complete experience. As a result, Subnautica 2's early access launch has been rescheduled for 2026. And I would say that is kind of believable. I mean, they go on to say, based solely on our commitment to quality and to delivering the best possible experience for players. And it was not influenced by any contractual or financial considerations. I don't know about you, but I'm pressing X to doubt on that one. Additionally, they say the decision had already been under discussion prior to recent leadership changes at the studio. That to me is a complete nothing burger statement. I mean, yeah, if you're going to be saving $250 million, you think you may want to have those discussions earlier on to make sure that you're doing everything you can to fulfill that, as opposed to making a last-minute snap decision. I don't know here. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I'm assuming that talks about that would have been going on for quite a while. Additionally here, because yes, there's more, it's being reported over on Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Listen to this headline. Subnautica 2 publishers Krafton accuse ousted bosses of abandoning duties, and now those ex-leads are suing. So based on what I'm reading here and based on what I've seen, it appears as if Krafton is throwing that ex-leadership under the bus and blaming them for the Subnautica 2 delay. Based on statements like this. However, regrettably, the former leadership abandoned the responsibilities entrusted to them. Subnautica 2 was originally planned for an early access launch in early 2024, but the timeline has since been significantly delayed. Furthermore, Krafton believes that the absence of core leadership has resulted in repeated confusion in direction and significant delays in the overall project schedule. And then they say here that they're committed to fair and equitable compensation for all remaining Unknown Worlds employees. We reaffirm our commitment to provide the rewards as they were promised. That specifically does not say $250 million, and Rock, Paper, Shotgun also points that out. I'm curious to what they mean here, because I guess if there's language in there saying that if this game is delayed, you don't get the 250, well, that would fall right into that statement. I'm very curious to know what that actual statement is. But I am assuming we're going to know what those promises were if this lawsuit sees the light of day, because I guess the ex-leads have filed a lawsuit against Krafton, and the details should eventually become public. We're going to have to wait to see what happens moving forward here about Subnautica 2 in this whole case, if it goes to court, if there are back and forths, and if there is documentation that is shared publicly. But interestingly here, the damage to Subnautica 2's reputation may already be done. So here's a post over on Reddit Subnautica. Do not buy Subnautica 2. And here's the image. Do not buy Subnautica 2. The publisher Krafton has fired all 3 original founders of Unknown Worlds and delayed the game to 2026 so that devs wouldn't receive $250 million in bonuses. Do not support these shady business practices. Do not buy Subnautica 2. In my opinion, this post skyrocketed in popularity. I mean, it's already got 54,000 upvotes and has since been locked, so no new comments can be posted. And here is one of the top comments. This would be great, but let's be realistic. Krafton will get their money because the masses will still buy the game. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, but again, I am super curious to see what happens moving forward with Subnautica 2 in this whole ordeal. And speaking about ordeals, next up we're talking about Xbox. And there's a post here from Jez Corden that has got a lot of people talking. And he says, Microsoft CEO Amy Hood has given Xbox an utterly unrealistic financial requirement that is going to continue hurting the division. This isn't over. Now, Tom Warren, who is well known for his reporting, replies to this and says, I don't think it's unrealistic. It's just the reality of the Xbox business after the ABK acquisition. Without that deal, Xbox revenue would be down, and the Game Pass gamble hasn't paid off yet. And Jez says, disagree. Now, the replies from other people to that comment are interesting. This person says, amazing rebuttal, LMAO. Amy Hood knows better than you. What's hard to disagree with, they bought a company for $69 billion, so the revenue expectation is much higher than they can make. Care to elaborate? Disagree. The financials are out for everyone to see. The only reason there was any growth in Microsoft's gaming sector was because they absorbed ABK. ABK was the growth. Without ABK, they'd be much further in the hole. That's not up for dispute. Now, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the matter, and without getting into too many details here, I do have a few opinions. Number one, I wouldn't be surprised with a company trying to do more with less. That just seems to be normal in this day and age. And also here, I think we've talked about this in previous videos, but I think reports from Matt Piscatella, or at least Blue Sky tweets or messages from Matt Piscatella have said video game spending is down. And maybe Xbox or Microsoft is anticipating some reductions in overall profits and therefore allocating less funds to do stuff. I mean, we talked about video game spending among 18 to 24s being down sharply just a few days back. And then there's also this here. May 2025 projected U.S. total spending on video game hardware, content, and accessories grew 1% when compared to a year ago. Year-to-date spending finished the month 6% behind 2024's pace. So that is saying a lot. I mean, a 6% reduction in spending is quite a bit. We'll have to see if this trend continues moving forward, but if it does, I wouldn't be surprised to see even more layoffs across the gaming industry in general. And on top of that, Microsoft also had, or Xbox had a whole ton of layoffs recently, at least in my opinion. Now, unfortunately, I don't know the specifics here, but let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And I'm curious to hear your reasons, your rationale, and also your thoughts on the matter. Next up, we're talking about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. And there's some positive news and I would say some negative news surrounding this game already. But interestingly here, I guess it's already being modded and has Mary Poppins in the game doing kickflips. If you wanted to see Mary Poppins in action, I'd recommend checking out this video here on YouTube, and like everything we talk about, link is in the description below. I believe this person is also the legendary Huckleberry Pie, who's provided a lot of news tips to this channel. And now for the bad news about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, well, just for the Switch. On the Switch, it was previously reported that this game would just be a download code in the box, not even a game key card. And people are upset that when they're buying the physical version of this game for the Switch, it's just a download code. And speaking about digital games, next up we're talking about Resident Evil Survival Unit. And this game has been announced for mobile, Android, and iOS. Now, based on my understanding, after watching the 25-ish minute presentation of it, it's going to have some strategy and survival aspects to the game, and it does look interesting. It will be launching at some point in 2025. I don't know the price yet. I don't know the specific release date. But there is a pre-registration already available. And taking a look on Google Play, we're going to have to wait and see on this one because there are in-app purchases. Let me know your thoughts about Resident Evil Survival Unit in the comments below. And speaking about costs, next up we're talking about System 76. And System 76 has just unveiled their new Linux purpose-built laptop, the Adder WS, which features an Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX CPU, as well as an NVIDIA 50 series GPU for $2,000. Now, there are two different sizes here. One has a 15.6 inch display and the other one has a 17.3 inch display. And the NVIDIA GPU on this is the RTX 5050 and also the RTX 5060 and 5070 depending on configuration. So the VRAM on this is capped at 8 gigs. Now, I'm a huge fan of Linux purpose-built systems and also systems that encourage the right to repair and really embrace it. Taking a look here, I do normally lean towards AMD CPUs, GPUs, and APUs. But at the same time here, the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HXs, it's no slouch, at least in my opinion. I mean, I'm currently testing out a 285H, and I'm very impressed with it as an APU. Anyways here, the NVIDIA 50 series I think will remain a hot topic with a lot of people, but at the same time, let me know your thoughts about the Adder WS. And speaking about laptops, last up here we're talking about the GPD MicroPC 2. And if you're interested in this thing, the Fox has a brand new review video on their YouTube channel that I would recommend checking out. The chip in it is an Intel N250 with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage, priced at $495 US. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that this thing is a performance beast, and I probably wouldn't recommend it for pure gaming. But at the same time, it does appear to be fairly versatile. Let me know your thoughts about the screen on this, the touch screen, and the review overall. Now, in my opinion here, and this may be a hot take, when I found out it had the N250 in it, I was not at all interested. Maybe as like a light email checker or something, I don't know, but I think there are some other options out there that are a little bit more attractive to me, although the gimmicks of this are pretty neat. Maybe that's a super hot take. Maybe I'm off base with that, but let me know in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.